Hey, what's up, everybody? It is your girl JoJo, and I'm here with the review for Ready to Love. I don't know the episode number, but I hope you guys are doing good today. I probably sound a little stuffy and maybe a little bit tired, and that's because I am. I've been asleep most of the day. Got to go to work later tonight, but I went out with some friends. We went to the beach the other night, and I don't know about them, but I had me a good time. Too good of a time because my throat is a little scratchy today and I feel like I'm trying to get it together. So if I sound kind of funny, just charge it to that. All right. So the men meet with nephew Tyler Perry because it's time for them to introduce their connections to a family member. Now, it didn't surprise me that a lot of the guys introduced their women, their connections to their sisters or some type of woman in their family. That didn't surprise me at all, especially when it comes to sisters, because if y'all know, like I know, a lot of these sisters do not play about their brother. It don't matter if the sister is younger or older. The sister is just a couple notches away from meeting the mama, honestly. Usually they carry the same countenance, the same level of protectiveness. You almost think they gave birth to them just like the mama did. So that does happen. Now, I'm an older sister, and I don't handle my brothers like that, either one of them. For me, if I feel like a family member of mine is a really good prospect, I might, be a little bit more interested in who it is they're dating and who it is they might be connecting themselves to. But overall, they're just grown. I really got one cousin who I feel like I would be a little bit protective over. Everybody else, most of the rest of the guys in my family, any woman that wants to take them off of our hands, I welcome her to do so. I'm just saying, go ahead, honey, make them your problem now. But anyway, let's. I hope they never hear that, but if they do, I stand by what I said. So, Big Toe has his sister meeting up with Morgan, and he is telling Morgan, I want you to meet somebody that might be the one. Y'all, the sister immediately starts laughing. And I said, see, these are the type of relatives I like. Don't play with him. Do not play with him, and don't play with me. Tell me what it is you really think. But the sister was still kind of protective in the way that she didn't necessarily reveal all that to Morgan. Now, one thing I do like about the sister is that she don't mind eating that plate. A lot of times on Ready to Love, they don't never really get their food time in. But honey, my sister was eating that food and listening and nodding and responding. Okay. We love a queen that can do many things at once. So Morgan comes in. She looks beautiful. I love her dress. And they kind of start picking on Tony, asking him if he's nervous and all this other stuff. And so one of the things that comes out during the dinner is that Morgan says she likes how strong and passionate and assertive, manly that Tony is. However, the things she likes about Tony are also things they need to work on, also things they're having problems with. So the sister wants her to say a little more. And Morgan says that he can be that way towards me. I love how protective he is of me. But at the same time, I'm trying to get him to get out of some of that macho bravado mode for everything when it comes to us. Like, Tony doesn't have a level of softness when Morgan needs it. Sounds like what she's saying. Or not softness, but he can't tone it down when needed. And so she says, I think it's something that we should talk to somebody about. And the sister stopped her chewing and she just like, what? And when you say talk to somebody, what do you mean? And she's suggesting some type of counseling. And so the sister doesn't agree. She says that I feel like people who need counseling, especially this early, like, I don't know if I agree with that. And I agree with the sister. I think that if you meet somebody and in the first couple of weeks you like them, but you feel like y'all need to go to some type of couples counseling for your communication, it's one or two things going on. Either y'all are not really compatible and that's why y'all are arguing so much, or B, one of y'all doesn't communicate well regardless. It doesn't matter who you're with, whether you're with each other or whether you're with somebody else. One of you has communication problems. It could be both of you. But I don't know if I would be going to couples counseling about these kind of issues 1 or 2 months in. Like maybe we just aren't compatible with one another. But I would love to get y'all's thoughts. Have you ever been to couple counseling with somebody, and how long were you guys together? Not marriage counseling. I'm talking about before you guys got married. How long were you with that person, and would you go to couples counseling with a very new relationship? Let me know. So the sister says after Morgan leaves that she does like her. And that's not the vibe I was getting from the sister, but she does say that she likes Morgan. She just doesn't agree with that whole couples counseling thing, especially this early. So another date that we end up seeing is the one between Cynthia, Anthony, and his cousin. I don't know why I want to say the cousin's name was Curtis, but I don't want to get it wrong, so I'm going to just call him the cousin. So they meet up, and Cynthia is trying to work her magic with those big, deep eyes she has, but oh, no. Oh, no. The cousin has already been briefed, and he ain't finna play with Cynthia, but he still played with her. So Anthony has already told the cousin that one of the problems that he has with Cynthia is about her child's father, James. He felt like his interaction was very aggressive. And even though Anthony did handle it a lot better than Andre, that's still not something that he wants in his life. He doesn't want her ex to be a problem. So that is the first question that the cousin asks. Like, I want to hear about, James. And Cynthia said, what about James? Is he going to be an issue in in this relationship with y'all, with his family, with our family? I said, you better throw yourself in that, cousin. So Cynthia was like, no, my past does not dictate my future. He is not going to be an issue for us. I won't allow him to be an issue for us. And that was a good enough answer for him, but I still wanted a little bit more. Now, see, I probably would have asked, well, why is he behaving that way towards you? Why is he so aggressive? And why is he so protective of you? Because he is no longer your man. Now, if he wants to be protective of his children, I understand that, but it seemed like it was more so about you. Is there something going on? Are there still feelings there? When's the last time you guys were together? See, baby, I would have been ready to grill. I want to know. So they kind of moved past that part, and then she starts asking questions in regards to Anthony. She was like, I know he has an active work life, and he's with his daughter and all this other stuff. And so she brings up the social life, to which Anthony says it's a trick question. She knows that I don't really have a social life. She trying to ask you, what do I do socially? To which he responds, Anthony doesn't do a whole lot. It's really hard to get him out the house. Like, he almost got to beg him to come out the house. And Cynthia was like, oh, well, child, I'm getting confused. Sorry. The cousin tells Cynthia, no, if that's something that you could have an effect on and get him out the house a little bit more, that would be great. I would love to see that. And Cynthia's like, yeah, he'll come out the house. He'll be coming with me. So he's definitely going to be coming out. To which Anthony starts laughing. I got a feeling that Anthony is one of the ones, if he ain't going, he ain't going. He don't care that you like to go out. He go be waiting right there. Let me know if you need a ride. I have a friend, her boyfriend is kind of like that. He'll just drop her off, pick her up, but he'll be like, I'm not going. I'm not interested in going. You're not finna drag me out this house. But Cynthia claims she might can get him out, to which the cousin's like, I would love to see that. That would be great. And she tells the cousin he could come along too. So he even more excited, because I guess he gonna hang out with the two of them. Oh gosh, I don't know why it was funny to me. It just was. So he ends up saying that he does like Cynthia, and Anthony was like, wow, that was quick. Even Anthony, I feel like even Anthony knows that Cynthia knows how to work her magic on people. So because it ends up saying that he likes Cynthia, and she seems like a good prospect for him. So yeah, I guess the first two meetups have gone fairly well. Let's see what's up next. All right, y'all. So Andre goes on his date with Cynthia and Jeffrey. They're going to be meeting his sister and his niece. And sorry, y'all, trying to sit up. So the sister is intense. And Andre says his sister scares him sometimes because she can be, and she doesn't come to play, and she did not come to this here process to play, especially not on today, baby. So He says he values both of their opinions, so he's happy that the girls are going to get to meet her, today. I feel like my words are getting all jumbled. So Cynthia shows up, and I don't have a problem with like a midriff or a crop top or anything, but whenever I'm meeting someone's family or meeting someone's friends, I always try to just kind of keep myself, more, I guess you could say, conservatively with the bunny ears dressed, until I can kind of fill out what kind of family it is. Because some family, they don't care no kind of ways. And it's not me saying that you shouldn't be yourself. I just kind of think of when I'm meeting people, I would go into it the same way I would do an interview. I wouldn't come with a midriff on at an interview. So when I'm meeting people for the first time, especially like if it's family members or friends, I try to think of it in that same mindset. All right. I'm not coming in a blazer, but you get what I'm saying. So Cynthia, as soon as she walks in, she was like, "Oh, it's the women." I said, you ain't gonna be able to fool them with your big brown eyes and them high cheekbones and them dimples. She even admits she knows that women can see through things that men can't necessarily see through. So that part was funny to me, but she was ready. So when she goes to sit down, the sister starts in immediately because she's already been briefed about them both having children, and asks her at 37, "Are you having more children?" And she was just like, "I will have 2 more children and a dog." And she asked her, "The dog is what, a requirement?" She said, "The dog is there in case he wants 3. I can only give him the dog and the 2. So they had a little laugh, but you could still tell the sister was a little bit like, "I don't really know, this whole children thing, your age." I don't think she was trying to be disrespectful, but it does cross your mind. It will cross anybody's mind. If we're just being perfectly honest, these things will cross your mind with any family member that you were dealing with, even if it's your brother, cousin, whatever. So these things are going to come up. All right. Then we have Jeffrey come in. Now, Jeffrey comes in a full church dress, and Cynthia is trying to clown. And I'm like, "Cynthia, don't be trying to laugh at Jeffrey, because that's what you should have wore. That's why you're talking about it, because you wish you would have thought of it first." No, but it's fine. Both of them look good, but Jeffrey's outfit is probably kind of more of what I would have worn to meet somebody for the first time. But Cynthia is like, "Who is this? This isn't the Jeffrey we know." So Jeffrey comes and sits down, and she's really surprised to see Cynthia. She said that was like a confusion to her. Like, why is Cynthia here? Well, I guess Andre still has a connection with Cynthia. So the sister starts in with Jeffrey, and she's just like, 31, you've got 3 children, none of the fathers are in their lives. I'm going to be honest with you, it sounds more like a liability than an asset. Now, that really did send a dagger, to Jeffrey's heart. She didn't really appreciate that. But Jeffrey says she is what a lot of men want, including Andre. And in her confessionals, I don't know if she said it at the table, but she said that maybe you should ask your brother why I'm sitting here and not a woman with no children, because he's dated women with no children before, and none of those women are sitting here in front of him. Those obviously were not the women that he wanted. He wants me. So perhaps you should ask your brother what it is that I do, what it is that I'm bringing, how I'm an asset in his life. All right. I feel like they cut some parts of the date out, because I really did want to hear more of what she had to say in regards to how she's a benefit to Andre in his life, or an asset, if you will. Cynthia says she got 2 master's degrees, 2 bachelor degrees. Her children are good. Her children are taken care of. He would not be coming in as a stepdad, maybe a bonus dad, but not a stepdad. Okay. I took that to mean that financially her children are good. And their father, if James is about them kids like he about Cynthia, then yeah, everything is good there as well. That's just not anything he would have to worry about in my life, right? Which is a different comparison to Jeffrey, whose children's father are not in the picture at all. So the meeting overall, it went okay. On Cynthia's end, I don't think it really felt the same for Jeffrey. However, I did want to add in, it was something that Jeffrey said when she was like, "You should ask why I'm sitting here instead of a woman with no children." I have been noticing that Andre is very passionate about children. Even his friend or whoever it was they met said that they get concerned sometimes because Andre gets an attachment to the children of the women that he's dating, and then it's always very painful when there has to be a breakup or he has to separate from them. Andre is giving me savior complex, and I've seen it on women. I don't see it as much in men, but that's because I don't have a lot of male friends. But I definitely see that whole savior, build them up complex in women. But I kind of feel like I'm seeing a little bit of it in Andre in the way that he speaks about just children and how he really wants to be a role model and a mentor. It seems like he needs to come into a situation to save someone. So he would be more likely to be with a woman who has children, or to be with a woman like Jeffrey where the father is not in the picture. Like it's like he wants to come in and rescue, basically, is the vibe I'm getting from him, especially in the tone that his friend talked about him, and even some of the things that Andre says about what he wished he would have had growing up and the life that he wants to give and be to a child or be to a young person, and mentorship. It just makes me wonder what his childhood or his adolescence might have been like, and does it kind of play out in the way that he navigates his relationship? Does he need something to save? So once they leave, the sister is basically just like, if I had to choose, it's going to be Cynthia. The niece does choose Cynthia, but I like that the sister kept it real. It's really neither one of them, because it's too much baggage. It's just too much. And Andre was like, but if you had to choose, neither one, if I had to choose. So I appreciate the sister's honesty, and I get it. I get totally where she's coming from. Andre does not have any children, and these women have 2 children. The other has 3 children. This is a lot to be taken on, and this is something that you need to really ask yourself about if this is something that you want to do. So I would choose neither if I were you. But y'all let me know what y'all thought about those interactions, how you felt about both Jeffrey and Cynthia and meeting the sister. All right, y'all know I'm still actively watching the episode, and there's so many things I'm annoyed about. I've recorded this part probably 4 times because it's so many things, and I've watched this scene multiple times because I don't know where to start first. Morgan and Big Tone. Morgan and Big Tone meet up so that they can discuss what happened with the sister, but they also discussed some other things. And y'all, I'm going to try to start from the beginning. Let's just work our way through the whole thing, but have a seat because I got a lot to say as usual, but this part annoyed me. So Big Tone comes in to talk to Morgan about the interaction and exchange with the sister. He really wanted to talk about the whole counseling part. And Morgan says, I know I probably came at it a little hard, but I'm concerned because I need to know that the things that you tell me you're going to do, you're actually going to do them. And with some of the recent things that I've discovered, I need you to assure me that these things, that you're going to be a man about your word, basically. Tony says, you really don't know if I'm going to do the things that I say I'm going to do. He doesn't say it like that, but he basically says, you don't know. You just going to have to trust me. You just going to have to wait and see. Morgan's really not about the waiting and seeing. And the reason why Morgan isn't is probably because of what she's seen so far. So we find out that after the first night, that Natasha, I had to scroll back. I didn't even know who Natasha was. But after she got eliminated on the first night, her and Tone apparently had some type of physical connection that he wanted to explore further. And so after the show, they explored it. So we know that they have had sex with one another, right? He already told Morgan about it because he didn't want Morgan to find out in them streets, and he probably didn't want Morgan to find out in the reunion. So yes, it's best to spill your own tea. But how long has Big Tone been sitting on this? That's number one. Number two, Big Tone does not take Morgan seriously. The entire time she's talking, he's smirking at her. He's shrugging his shoulders. Morgan, girl, I don't know what you think this is. I know when I went in on you last week, so I'm trying not to do it again. But she comes into the whole interaction, the whole exchange of meeting Big Tone today, saying that she not going to be nobody's fool. You are the fool. And he's made you the fool more than once. So she says, in reference to Natasha, how do I know things like this are not going to go on again? You stoop so low to sleep with somebody who got eliminated on the first night. Now, you told me, I'm going to give you credit. You told me about it. You say she don't mean anything to you. See, this is an energy I don't like. Morgan says some other stuff as well that I'm not even going to go into, like, as far as Natasha goes. Big Tone slept with Natasha. right? Big Tone got down with Natasha. And your issue, if you have one, needs to be with Big Tone. Don't talk about Natasha. Don't talk about her in a derogatory way, because for what? A, she's not here to defend herself. And B, she didn't have any loyalties to you. And at the time, neither did Big Tone. But the person sitting in front of you is the person that you want to deal with. All right. So if he dealt with a woman that you consider to be a gutter snipe or low class or hoish or whatever, just know that the man you want to be with is the one who dealt with said woman that you are trying to degrade at the time. So when Big Tone speaks back up, he was just like, listen, I've got faults. I'm a man. Did he say he was still growing up? I really hope he didn't say that. I really hope he didn't say that. But he's got his faults, okay? He confessed them. He told you about it. But what I'm not going to do is let you sit here and degrade Natasha in any kind of way. Natasha is a beautiful woman. Morgan says she's not. And she was just like, and he tried to go on about their interaction. She was like, listen, you don't have to defend Natasha. All right. So Tony is just like, are you going to let me talk? She said, not about her. We can just move forward. Well, why didn't you want to move forward when you brought her up and you decided you was going to try to snap on her? But now that Big Tone is saying, I'm not snapping, I'm only going to speak nice things about her, all of a sudden you don't want to talk about Natasha anymore? Why is that? I bet you if Big Tone was dogging her out, you would have been fine to talk about Natasha. But see, this ain't really about Natasha. This is all about the fact is that she knows Tony is not going to do what she needs him to do. He is not going to be the man that you need. And it's almost making me wonder, have they had a sexual encounter as well? Because I don't understand why she's having such a hard time letting this go. I'm sure there's other sides to Big Tone that we don't get to see, but the side that we're seeing on camera that's taking you as a joke and constantly laughing at you every time you bring something up and smirking and smiling, and then she telling him, I got my eye on you. He don't care. He don't care that you got your eye on him, because he knows that he's going to get back in your good graces. All he got to do is say, I'm a man, I'm a man, I got faults, I got flaws, and it's just easy peasy lemon squeezy. You are back in his arms. He is back in your good graces. These two are getting on my nerves. I want them off my television screen. But maybe it is a example of toxic meets toxic, and maybe they can work. They need to be together to stay away from the rest of us. But if I was looking at this from just a regular woman's perspective that actually was trying to pull out these red flags, even though Tony wasn't with me, and even though this is the beginning of the process, everybody is, free to date who they want. Me personally, now this is just me, and I know it's a rarity. I don't really like to engage with men who don't have a lot of sexual discipline. It annoys me, because I feel like if you can the way men talk about sex, as if they think about it all the time. I don't know if that's true or not, but they talk about it that way. If you can tame that beast within inside you, and you can really discipline yourself, and not just drop that D off to everybody who wants it, or drop that D off to every coworker. If you can really keep it within yourself to not just be out here in these streets like that, I really do admire that. I really do admire sexual discipline in a man. So I kind of would have been looking at a man who slept with somebody actively in the process who wasn't even there anymore. I would just be wondering to myself, were you really ready to love, or were you just trying to come here and see who you could sleep with? Because that seems to be something that you were interested in quite early. But that's just me. That's just me. That's just like my personal thing. I don't think Morgan is so much upset about the fact that he slept with Natasha. It's just the fact that she's just not finding out about it, and she doesn't feel like Natasha is the type of woman that I guess Big Tone should be sleeping around with. I really don't know what's in Morgan's mind. She says she don't want to be a fool. She says she's not gonna let nobody make a fool out of her. She says all of these things, and she's sitting up here at this table looking very beautiful and very much a beautiful ass fool. But I don't know, y'all. Y'all can just let me know what y'all thought about that. Big Tone ain't ready to love nobody, and he know that. That's why he always smirking and smiling at this girl. Let's move on. I'm getting irritated. All right, so we've got Marc Anthony. He is going to be meeting up with Jeffrey so that they can hit there's never a right time to say goodbye, but it's time to say goodbye to one another. It was kind of dramatic. It was kind of it was longer than it needed to be, but basically Marc Anthony has been feeling the distance. Jeffrey says the distance has been because it's just very hard for her, right, to be engaging with Marc Anthony and Andre, knowing that her connection is a little bit stronger with Andre, and knowing that the timing is a little bit better with Andre. With Marc Anthony, she's just feeling like the timing is not right. and she's very scared about her children. You know, she doesn't want somebody coming in that's unsure about her. And Marc Anthony has said that when he came into the process, he was not dating a woman with children. But after meeting Jeffrey, he does realize that's more of an idea that he can explore, and it could potentially work. But it's just a case of timing for Jeffrey, and it's just not going to work for the two of them. So they say goodbye to one another. Now, Marc Anthony has Mercedes meet his cousin, and you notice these guys this season, nobody is introducing anyone to any like heavy hitters. And by heavy hitters, I mean like mom, dad. Nobody's really doing that. And I can't say I blame them. I don't know if I would bring my mom on a dating show or my dad. I don't bring anybody unless you think we about to get married. I don't even bring people home. You're not going to meet my family. Sorry. Till you get very serious about me, my family, you will not know. But the cousin is on Zoom, which I was like, a Zoom call? He ain't got nobody. But maybe all his family live out of town. I don't know. So they're going to do a Zoom call. And the cousin asks Mercedes when she gets there, he asks Mercedes, has she ever been married? Has she ever been engaged? And I don't know if they cut something out. But why is Marc Anthony talking about these is good questions, man? These is good. These are basic standard questions. If you have not been asking her these things, then you and Mercedes must have just been lip locking this entire time. Y'all just don't talk to each other because these are general questions, Marc Anthony. But I'm pretty sure he's already asked her that. But it was just funny. I think they cut some stuff out. So then he asked Mercedes about what marriage meant to her. He asked her, was marriage a necessity to her? And the way she describes marriage, she says she wants to be friends with her partner. She still wants to have fun. She still wants to have a good time. Mercedes just seems very much like a woman who doesn't want to lose the fun part of a relationship. But she knows that with marriage, you have to fall into the traditional roles where he'll be the husband and all of this. She almost say it like she don't want to do it, honestly. But maybe it's just the vibe of I don't want to do it right now. But she seems like one of those people who thinks that once you get married, you're at risk of not having fun with each other anymore or not enjoying each other anymore. And of course, it is going to be different from the honeymoon stage of when you first dated. However, you guys will fall into a natural routine. Yes, life will be a little bit more serious because you are now doing life together, but you can still make it a priority in your marriage. Say, hey, we don't lose our friendship. We don't lose the fun that we have with one another. Make that a priority in your relationship. When you get married, y'all already know how I look at marriage as a business contract, and I treat it as a business contract. I treat it like the business contract it is, but of course I know in relationship there's a lot relationships. I cannot talk today. There is a lot more involved. But she's like, I want to have fun. You know, can we still go to the strip clubs? I'm like, oh gosh. She is so funny to me. I don't know why, but yeah, those things, I know couples who do that stuff. So it can still happen. But of course, you know, like marriage does change you and children do as well. So it's just one of those things that you got to be realistic about. Then they bring up the possibility of a long-term relationship because a long distance relationship. Because Marc Anthony is thinking about moving to New York and he's told the cousin that, but apparently he ain't told Mercedes that. So she's honest and says that even though she has an unconventional job and it could work, that is a lot for her. That is a lot to think about, which I agree. That isn't something that you just bring on somebody. Long distance relationships require a different level of work. And so that would be something her and Marc Anthony need to discuss and something they need to talk about. But in the end, the cousin ends up liking Mercedes, says she's a good one, and believes that Marc Anthony should take a chance. So what do you guys think about their date? It was pretty standard, nothing too crazy, but let me know what you thought about it. Anthony and Cynthia go on a little beach date. It was cute. It was nice. It was good for what it was. Because he wants to show her a little bit more. He's not always vocal with the ladies about his feelings, and so he just wants to put forth a little more effort and show Cynthia. He does ask Cynthia what their life would look like together, like what does being in a relationship outside of the process look like. And she just says she thinks it would be beautiful. We both know what it takes to raise our children. We were doing life that way. We both know how hard we have to work in business. And she says they also are balancing, you know, how to care for themselves, like making themselves a priority even in the midst of all of this. So she thinks they'll have a beautiful relationship because they are still doing so many things, but still finding time and balance to live a life. And so they will do those same things together. He talks about how much he admires her, how beautiful she is, and all of the feelings that he has for her. And he gave her a little foot rub. I know y'all men that like the feet, y'all was real into that, but he gave her a foot rub, and she was like, I can get used to this now. Don't just be doing stuff that's got to continue, which I love that she reminded him of that. Don't try to impress me and don't keep none of this up now. But it was a cute date, but I still see some pause for Cynthia when it comes to Anthony. Even though they get along well and even though they do have chemistry, there's just something there. None of these couples, I don't feel a strong connection really with anybody. But that's just, outside looking in, but y'all can let me know what you think. All right, y'all have journeyed with me throughout my evening. I'm at work now, so if you hear some wind and some background noise, it's because I'm outside trying to finish up the review. But lastly, we have the guys meeting up with nephew Tyler Perry to discuss how their dates went. And the main thing I want to focus on is Big Tone. Even nephew Tyler Perry is so sick of it with Big Tone and Morgan. And he wants Tony to make sure that Morgan is okay with all of this, because we know what it means and know what happens when Morgan is not okay. But he's disappointed in Big Tone because, Big Tone, you broke one of my rules and slept with somebody who was not in the process. So I don't know if it was the sleeping with her that is breaking one of the rules or the fact that she wasn't in the process. But either way, he broke one of the rules. Now he wants to know, has anybody else had any entanglements that I need to know about? Now, Marc Anthony pled the fifth, but listen, ain't nobody got time to play games. No, did you do it or did you not? Everybody says they didn't do anything. And again, Big Tone, he's just so lackadaisical, so relaxed about it, so giggly about it. It's just, he doesn't care. And then he's like, well, she said we needed counseling, but I really think she meant coaching. It doesn't matter, according to nephew Tyler Perry. They the same thing. And essentially, they do have a lot of similarities. But the fact that y'all needed this early in the game just lets me know that I just don't think y'all are compatible. So he wants him to talk to Morgan, and then he needs Andre, who still has 2 connections. He's the only one to decide who he really wants to do this thing with. So he takes Cynthia out, and I believe what he was supposed to do was let Cynthia go, or let her know that she was no longer a connection for him. But that's not what he did. Apparently, I'm starting to see a different side of Cynthia now. She normally doesn't come off as catty or trying to like overly compete or anything. But this time she tells Andre, I think that you are not choosing the best woman for you. I don't think you're choosing what's good for you. Then she's telling them about the connection that they had. And even though she's connected to Anthony, I'm confused as to what Cynthia is trying to do, because it all seemed like she was more compatible with Anthony and she was feeling him more. But then when she's talking with Andre, I don't know, she kind of reminds me of how the men do sometimes, still trying to keep their foot in the game for both connections. Cynthia, what are you doing? But she's honest with Andre, and Andre just can't seem to let her go. He loves the conversations he had with Cynthia and all this other stuff. So he doesn't really tell her anything. And then next thing you know, the ending credits and the scene for what's going to happen next is coming up. I just want to say, when I see Cynthia and Andre on camera, of course, like she said, there's definitely a good physical attraction there, but I see more of a friendship. I feel like Andre values her opinion. I think he respects her and believes she's a very wise woman. It almost seems like he's learning from her. And in all honesty, those things I think are great to have in a partner. I know we talk a lot about masculine and feminine, but I really feel like it's been sullied, and we've been talking about masculine and feminine roles more than we have been talking about actual energy. And a real masculine man, when you're in the right energy, knows that there's value in how a woman thinks, and there's value in the way that a woman thinks about things, because we do think about things differently. And if you take into consideration how she thinks about things, it could make you a lot more of a successful person, a successful man, because she's thinking with a different part of her brain that you might not necessarily be thinking about. And so that energy is ever present in somebody who is truly balanced in their energy and able to understand what that means, knows that they can also
while they can lead, they also know they can learn from their woman as well. But that's in some of my books that I'm gonna recommend to y'all one of these days. But it really helped me understand the difference between energy and actual traditional gender roles of masculine and feminine. I cannot talk at all today, but it just seems like he gets more of that energy from Cynthia, and like he really likes Jeffrey more. But that is it, you guys. I'm gonna try to watch Put a Ring on It tonight, try to do commentary, but it might not be up till tomorrow if I get a chance to do it. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys for the next one. Bye.